to Building Coils with Dan on the M.O.T.R Vapes channel, and today we are going to be going over the Alien Wire. That's right, the Alien Wire, the Alien Fuse, the Alien Coils, whatever you want to be calling them, that's what we are going to be going over right here today. And I have a special way to show you guys how to do this Alien Wire. It's a technique that I've actually learned recently by watching a video on Facebook. This video was actually brought to me, or brought to my attention. It wasn't brought to me, it was just shared out there. This video was done by Eddie Butler from Vapes, and his way of doing the Alien Wire was to actually use a very special, specific tool to keep all three cores of the Alien Wire straight. Now in the past I have used certain clips, I have used other wire to wrap around and pinch and keep it tight, and I found it a bit of a pain in the ass to actually do it that way, so most of the time I just did it with absolutely nothing, pinching that wire together. But what Eddie did and what I saw there was he used a key ring. That's right, a key ring to actually go in between the three cores of the wire. You put it in to keep it flat, and then you equal it out so it's got evenly weight distributed across the wire as it's going around, and that keeps the core straight. Crazy, right? And this makes the Alien Wire a hell of a lot easier than any other way that I have specifically done it. So let's get down to the brass tacks of what's going on out there. First, what you're going to be needing to do this wire is some 26 gauge wire. You're also going to need some 36 gauge wire. Now that's only just to do the size of coil that I am doing here today. You can also change up your wires from 28 and 36 or 28 and 38 or 34 or whatever you're going to be doing. For when I personally started doing my Alien Wire, I used 26 kanthal and I used 32 kanthal. Now I've also found that the kanthal isn't quite as pliable as what I'm going to be using here today. This is both nichrome wire, 26 nichrome and 36 nichrome, but whatever you want to be using it, use it at about 10 gauge sizes apart. Using 26, use 36. It keeps it nice, it keeps it even, it makes it look good, but most of all, the most important of it is that it gets really good flavor off these coils. So there you go. You're going to need your wire. You're also going to need your drill, and you're going to need your vise with your swivels attached to your block of wood. The block of wood is adjustable up and down the vise. You take your drill like so. You get it lined up to where the swivels are with a block of wood so it all stays even across the board, so there's not any extra bing, 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 bing action going on with those wires. Bam, bam, bam. You're also going to need your pliers, and you're going to need your snips. You're going to need, most important, that key ring. The key ring, you can find them on almost any key out there. If someone's got a key ring, take it off the key ring. If you ever see anyone, a lot of people have like 2 or 3 of these things on the keys, and most of them aren't even being fucking used. So I have to grab a key ring somewhere, because this is definitely going to be going on here today. You're going to need your wrapping sizes for your coil. Pick out whatever you got, your drill bits, or if you got the coil jig here like I do, make sure you got your drill wrapping sizes. You might possibly need a nice set of ceramic tweezers. You don't actually need the set of ceramic tweezers, and if I have to show you, I will be showing you if I'm going to be using these or not, but there is a specific purpose to the ceramic tweezers. Last but not least, you're going to need your scissors, and you're going to need some cotton, because I'm telling you, you're going to be making some Alien Wire if you do it this way. It can happen, it will happen. Just take it in faith and try it out. It seems difficult at first, but when you get into the groove, you can do this. Step 1 of this process is you're going to take your 26 gauge wire, you're going to take your snips, and you're going to be cutting off the lengths of wire that you're going to be using for your cores for this process. Now, you can have 3 equal lengths of wire, and you're going to be Claptoning one of those wires. Now, you don't actually have to have 3 equal lengths off the very beginning of it. What you're going to want to have, or you can do, is cut 2 equal lengths and have that third one a nice little bit longer than those 2 equal lengths. And the whole reason for having that third one longer is that the surface area of that Clapton as it goes on is just the surface area over that 126 gauge core. And when you do the actual Alien process of putting it on, well, now you have 3 cores. So you've actually almost doubled your surface area. Well, you have about doubled it because you're only going over the the sides of the cores, you know, and not the whole round, but still, you're going to be having a lot less wire. If you do up this much Clapton, you might only get that much alien wire. So boom, boom, surface area, it's a bitch. So let's start that off there. Let's take the 26 gauge wire. For the sake of just doing this, I'm going to do them all the same size. I'm not too worried about it. So, cut off 3 equal sizes. One. 2. 3. And if you're wondering how I got 3 equal sizes by just going like this, I just count the number of times that it goes around for my wrap when I put it back in, so it looks like I know what I'm at, but really it's just counting some numbers. So that's the 3 lengths of the alien wire. Now preparation is a huge key for any of these coils that you're going to be doing. So you take your end, put it into your drill, put it in the chuck of the drill, fold your end over a little bit, open up your drill and actually stick that open end, it's coming like this, into the center of the drill. Now that you have that put in place, what you're going to want to do is pump your drill, get it going, whichever direction you want to do it. You're going to pump that in high speed, and this is just going to take out that wrap from the coil. It's going to take this wrapped up, kinked up wire, and it's going to make it nice and straight. So give her a few spins. Now you're going to see that when you look closely, you'll actually see that the wire itself has this weird little look into it right now. So although the wire is flat, it's got the spinning motion, right? You just twisted it around. So what I like to do is take that wire, pop my drill back into reverse, and take out those imperfections. Perfect, right there. And you might not always get them out every time, and you don't necessarily have to. I'm just OCD about it. I gotta do it, I gotta do it, I gotta do it. Like, that's just how it goes for me. You don't have to do that when it comes down to your process of doing this. So that's step 1. Take that out. Number 2. Number 3. Now what you're going to want to do is leave that last wire, or if you're going to use the 3 different size wires, do your longest wire last so that your longest wire is still in your chuck. Now it's going to be hooking it up to the swivel. Whenever I hook up to a swivel when I'm doing a single core Clapton, I always pinch off the end of the swivel and I twist it just a little bit, just to make sure. Sometimes you get a little bit of tension on that Clapton. You don't want to just slide out of the swivel if you just folded it over a little bit. So I'll pinch the end of those 2 parts that are now folded, and I'll actually twist those together. So what I forgot to mention that you're actually going to need is not just a drill, but you're going to need a fully charged drill. So I started doing my Clapton, my drill died, so I had to charge up my battery. Now we're back again, at the Claptoning portion of this bit. Make sure when you do your Clapton that your Clapton is going to be a certain direction. When I do these Alien wire, every single time, I always do, my wire is going to go this way. It's going to go underneath and away this way. So again, it's going to come towards me and underneath. I always do my Claptons this way when I'm doing this. And the reasoning for that is when you put your drill in reverse for when you actually pull out your Alien wire and stretch it out to go the other way, it's going up this way over top, and then you can actually physically watch your Clapton or watch the Alien wire as it goes into the slots. So if you're new at this and you're just starting out, that could be a way for you to do it as well. You can take your time, you can actually watch it go into the slot, every single one of them. Sure, it takes a long old time to do it, one by one by one, but it's not about speeding it along. It's about taking that time to learn how to do it and do it properly for yourself and learning to evolve with it and carry on. So I have my 36 gauge nichrome wire right here. I'm just going to put that in the drill and start to do my Clapton. So I'll just put that right into the end of my drill. So I just shoved it in the drill. I gave it a few quick spins to make sure it's locked and it's on there. When I do my Clapton, I keep my spool about this distance apart from the wire, and I hold my spool and I Clapton it. Now this distance right here, as you're holding that spool, is a lot better than taking it and doing it at, say, this distance, being real close, or even holding it in between your fingers. You can get hot when you hold the wire when you're doing it this way. That's why I use the swivel. While doing this, it makes things 10 times easier. So this, I'm going to hold it out about this far. Now what this does is it allows more area in between here and here for your wiggle room back and forth, so you don't end up screwing up the Clapton. When you have that wiggle room, it plays a big difference. When it's really close, any little movement can end up screwing you up. When it's farther away, it's a lot easier to get this process done. I'm just going to hold it out and I'm going to start clapping it up. Now that I have this mostly Clapton, I'm getting up on the portion at the very end of this Clapton. And I'm putting a nice little bit of force on my wire itself. It's not too much, it's not really hauling on it, but it is a nice bit of strain onto it. So as you pull your strain, you might notice that your wire towards the end is starting to flex a little bit. So you're actually going to start going uphill with your Clapton. So for all this portion here, I've kept it fairly straight, fairly in line, if not just a little bit back to make sure that Clapton is nice and tight. And when you put strain on it and you hold it back a bit, it keeps it in line, and speed can really be your friend when it comes to doing these Claptons. Taking your time, going slow seems like it would be the right choice to make, but I find going quickly is actually a much easier process. So keeping it straight in line up until this portion here, when she starts climbing up the hill, you kind of want to actually put it just a touch ahead. That holding it back and keeping it tight will actually cause that Clapton to force back on itself. So put it just watch where you have it just a touch ahead. The wire changes its degree, so just be careful with it and do what you have to do. So I'm just going to fold up the rest of that wire back onto the spool, tuck it into the slot, and I'm going to snip it. Now, there is a process you might want to use if you want to use it, if you need to use it, which would be keeping your entire Clapton still put into your drill. You can take your pliers and hold on to that little bit of tab that's coming off that coil. You'll see that there's a little bit sticking up out of there. So you can hold on to that, put your drill in reverse from this position that you've just done, reverse it from underneath, and then hold on to your tab and actually fire your drill. This will cause your Clapton kind of loosen up on the wire, but if you've done it in the way that I've just showed you, like 9 times out of 10, your Clapton is just going to move freely across your wire. There wasn't too much tension, there was just enough to let it go. My Clapton is moving freely, there's no reason for me to reverse my drill on it. So all that's left to do is to take that core off that wire. So this can be a little bit of a tricky part for some people. I've had a lot of problems in the past until I started to do what I'm about to show you how to do. You take your pliers, or your snips, sorry, you take your snips, and everyone has good snips at some point in time. They'll get good snips, but all snips wear down. I have the Coil Master snips right here. I've gone over hundreds and hundreds of wires and coils, clipping with them of various gauges and sizes, and these snips are literally worn right out. They were amazing snips to begin with, absolutely amazing. And now they're garbage. I don't have new snips. I can't just clip the wire and have that wire come off perfect on the end. So if you're like me and you have damaged snips due to overuse or abuse, all you have to do is take your pliers, get right up to near the end of where your twist is, and don't really pinch. Just make sure there's enough strain on this wire when you do this. Don't really pinch, just go nice and slow, give it a little bit of pressure, turn your drill, and just go over and over and over and over, and just keep going, and you're going to notice that it just comes off. It's like you're taking small slices into that really quickly, and it usually comes off 100% perfect. So let's see if it worked just like I said it was going to. Absolutely perfect, sliding it right off. Like I said, when you go slow with it, apply just light pressure, just go like, it just snips off the end ever so nicely. So now that you have that all said and done, you're going to take your wire back out of your drill. Place it down with your other 3 wires. Make sure it's not going on the floor somewhere. Make sure you can see where it is. Now you've got this nice core, just dangly core right there. What I do, because I'm not always working with someone who can take it and walk away with it and stretch it out, what I do is I'll take my wire and put it into the chuck of my drill, and I will clamp down the holy hell out of that wire. Just that little bit on the end. I want to make sure that that wire is not going to come out of that chuck when I go for a walk with this wire. Now at this point, I'm going to need to stretch out my wire. It is secured in my chuck, and I have enough wire here that I'm going to need to walk away from the camera. It's too much for me just to go like this and stretch out with my arms. I need to literally walk away from the camera, and then I'm going to have to come back. I'll show you a close-up of how much wire you need to stretch it out to, or what the type of wave that you're going to want to get into it. If you overstretch it, it's going to be no good. If you understretch it, you do have a small option to be able to fix that while you're doing your alien wire, but you only have a little bit of wiggle room, and I'll show you what I mean afterwards if I understretch it, or if I overstretch it, I'm screwed and I gotta start again. So I'm gonna stretch this out and give you a close-up. So now that you've seen how far you need to actually stretch that wire, all you have to do now is wrap the alien. And where you're going to be wrapping the alien, I have to tell you, now that that wire is done, every little thing that's in your way, every little dust or wire or excess coil or anything, it's now become public enemy number one. This is basically a cleanliness is next to godliness sort of issue. I'm not saying it because I'm a smug bastard who likes to have clean shit around me all the time. I'm saying it because that alien wire now, the actual Clapton that has been stretched out, this can get caught up on everything. I mean, like, everything is now an issue for you. When you do your wire and your Claptoning or your alien putting it on, you don't want it to snag a single thing that will cause you to screw up here or there, or it'll cause a great big disaster. And there's nothing worse than getting through a bit of the alien wire, hooking a snag on something, and then you're absolutely screwed over. So what I like to do with this wire, that now that I have it, I'm going to actually do a zigzag across this table. So it's not on the floor, it's away from any debris. I have cleared everything off the table in front of me, and it's just going to be back and forth and back and forth. I got a lot of wire there, so I have to do it a few times. Move everything out of the way. Here's the end of my wire. Move this back and forth and back and forth. So I can actually stretch it over the end of the table a little bit. And I have it all laid out directly in front of me now. So now that that is said and done, it's time to do the final part of this entire endeavor. Take your 3 cores, those 3 26 gauge cores, make a little almost not triangle, but you get them all separated away from each other. Line them nice and neatly. And now you're going to put these into the ends of the drill bit. So each of these has a little tab that comes off, comes out and over. Each of these goes into the 3 parts of the chuck. That way it's sitting really nicely in the center of it. So there we go. Separate them nice and even. And this is a critical key to everything that's going on. You can adjust this after if you need to. So perfect right there. Not perfect. Now it's not exactly where I want it to be right now. It is a little off-centered, but you know what? It's like I said, it can be adjusted afterwards. So now what I like to do at this point, I will just take my ends and I'm going to put this, the alien wire is in front of me. Got to remember the direction of that drill. When I first did it, and I always do it the same way, keeps me on par. First way when I did the Clapton was away and underneath. Now this time I'm going to be pulling the wire towards me. The drill is going to come towards me and away over top. So I'll pop that into reverse. And you know what? I'm still not satisfied at all. I saw that spin around and I don't want to deal with that. So I'll open this back up and straighten it out one more time. Preparation is 90% of the battle when it comes to doing this. So now that I got that done, I'm going to make sure that my cores are all separated here at the end. Don't pull it too hard. If there's any wrapping going on, you want to just take it out nice and even. There we go. All 3 cores. Perfect. I'm going to put my drill in slowly. Put my end in. And I'm just going to give her a few shots and wrap it up just a bit to make sure those 3 cores come tight. So my 3 cores have now been tightened up. My end looks like a jumbled mess right now. I'm going to show you what my end looks like right now. So now I'm going to show you what the ceramic tweezers are going to do, why they came into play, and why I said possibly bring them in during this process. I have my pliers and I have my ceramic tweezers. Now you can just take your pliers, put it over the end and pinch it, but when you put the pliers over the end and pinch it, you could end up screwing something up. It could cut the wire off a little bit. So I'll take the ceramic tweezers, put them over, and then use my pliers to pinch the tweezers. It's a nice smooth surface. And after doing so, after doing this process, this is what it's going to look like. So as you could see, it has already started to clean up. Just that little bit has made a big difference just from that small pinching process. It's all nicely put together, so let's straighten out these cores yet one more time. Make sure they're not overlapping each other. Now, where you cut off the end and you did the Claptoning process to, that wire is going to be a little shorter than the other 2, unless you did a longer wire, which you might have. Either which way, let's even up the ends on her. Take that bit away, don't want it to get caught up in anything. Pull our drill a little closer. Just line it up nicely, take it in, have them all straight, put it into the end of your swivel, and fold it over into the swivel. Now, unlike doing a single Clapton, you now have 3 wires. That's actually 3 times the strength as doing the one Clapton, so I don't feel the need to actually grab this and kink it over on itself. But what I will do, I'll take my pliers or my snips. It'd be a lot easier to use my pliers in case something goes wrong with my snips. So let's take the pliers and just pinch the end down right as close you can to the actual swivel, and this will force it to really secure itself on there. So there you have it, that's nice and secured. At this point, you're hooked up on this end, you're hooked up on this end, you have your alien wire, everything is zigzagging in front of you. Clear out any extra debris that you might have just accumulated. And now, this is where the big secret comes in. This is where the key ring comes into play. You're going to take your key ring, take your 3 cores nice and flat, because you've already straightened out from this end, and just attach it to that wire. So now it's hooked in on one section of it, and I'm going to give you a close-up right now. So that's what it's looking like to start this. Now you're going to want to turn that key over, and I'll give you another look and see how it's going to look into it. The key ring, ever so gently, keeping it inside that loop. And then you're going to want to get to this point and refashion it, and here's what that's going to look like. So as you can see, it's just below, or just where they went in on the exact same side is what really happened. I just turned it over and put it back on. So here we go. We're going to physically attach this now and keep turning until the weight has been evenly distributed by that key ring. So what's happening is you have the two parts that actually fold over and the part in the center, and they're both facing directly down. They're fairly even on both sides, and here's one last picture to show you what that looks like. So now you're really ready to start doing the final alien process. When you have this key on, this key ring, what you're going to want to do is keep it just about an inch away, just an inch away from where you're doing your wire. This is just to start. You want to make sure everything's good and proper. So I have this 1 inch away, and when I hold on to my wire, it's going to be the same way as I held on to my spool. So I'm going to hold it so far away from this wire, which gives me again a little bit of leeway when I put it on, and the amount of force that I'm going to be using for this process and what I'm actually going to tug on that wire is next to nothing at all. You just want to have that wire, if you've stretched it out properly, that wire should just guide itself on, and this should be a really smooth process. It should just go on ever so nicely. Now I do have my drill in the slow speed, and I'm just going to take my time, make sure the wrap goes on first just to start, and then I'm going to speed up that process for you if I can. Maybe it's going to end up screwing up on me. Who knows what's going to happen? But this is how I'm going to start my process and carry it on. You're going to see when this ring gets to the center, I'm going to slow down because this ring is now in the center of that wire, which is spinning. And if there's anything off within my swivels or my drill, that wire is just going to bounce around all over the place right here. So let's start off nice and slow. Watch where my hand is. It's down. My hand is actually physically on the table. So I'm just going to move it across the table. That's how much length I have. So let's try it. Next to no force on pulling it. Let's go ahead. So I have now done just under an inch of that Clapton or that alien wire, and it just was that easy. It went on very smooth, and I'm going to show you, I guess I'm going to show you some more fucking pictures of what it's looking like from the wire as it put on to that key ring. As you can see, that wire went on really smooth. It went on well. There was no defects in it at all. It just carried along. It did what it needed to do. So that was really a perfect start to it. Now you have that key ring. You're going to want to move it out a little bit further. You can do another inch. You can do it a little bit more than just that inch. You can go a little farther with it, but don't go too far. That key ring is really a huge success when doing this. So take your time with it. I'm pulling out about 1.5 inches from it. And let's start the process yet again, right from the stopping point. And there you have it. Just continue this process of moving the key ring along, as well as taking your time and putting that alien on there. As you can see, it was nice, it was quick, it is even. I could speed this up if I wanted to, but this is a good pace for me. Yeah, I find it comfortable. But here, let's just take this, move it out another inch. I'll pop my drill into high speed and show you that it can be done a little bit quicker. So again, there was another inch and it was done just that quick. That wasn't a sped up time lapse or anything. I'll give you another shot to show you what that looks like from this point, but it looks exactly the same as it did the last shot I showed you. So let's take a look now. So let's just continue to do it. I'm going to finish off the rest of this. I'm going to show you the end result of what's going on here. And then I guess I'm just going to wire it up and put it in some coils and pop it into a unit. But it's just as simple as this, guys. Take your time with it and do what you got to do.
A few moments later.
So there you have it. That is the end result of that wire being put together. As you can see, the defects right there of having to stop and start again, and then fold up, or I should say pull it back and then put it back together again. It does happen from time to time, but overall this wire is looking fairly decent, I must say. And it took really no time. If I wasn't talking, it would have been really simple. And I am just going to show the rest of that wire. So there you have it.